Hello and welcome to episode 1415 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, May 16th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How we doing?
Not too bad. Ready to gear up for the weekend here. Big slate of games today. Obviously, we're going to get into two steps for next week, but tons of great pitching tonight. I got to imagine that if he's available, the playback live the playback.tv for pitcher list is going to be bopping. Crochet, Reagans, Gore, Joe Ryan, Evaldi, Logan Webb, Rodon, Sale, Meyer, Burns, Taj Bradley, Jack Flaherty, Ranger Suarez, Brady Singer, Cade Horton, Dustin May, like Andrew Heaney has been pitching very well. There's a lot to watch tonight. And then some interesting guys, like someone like a Tanner Bybee. Where's he at right now? Tyler McGill, Shane Smith. Tons of great pitching tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I was up way too late last night.
Story of our lives.
Yeah. But I'm doing all right. If people are interested in doing like a playback channel for us, let me know. I've got one I've set up that I haven't actually used. So if people are interested, like having a Sleeper in the Bus playback channel,
it's a blast. Let's explain it real quick. Basically, if you've already got MLB.TV, MLB at Bat, and it's being shown on, for example, a channel with Justin, but in this instance on Pitcher List, you get to watch it. So we can actually watch games together. It's already signed. You sign in with the little on playback, and whatever they're watching, you're seeing. And that includes, I believe, regional stuff that would otherwise be blacked out.
Yes. Well,
so
kind of. So like there's like a VIP part where they have to give you the regional, but It's actually the way I watch regional stuff in my office, because I can't get the regional stuff in my office. I can only get it inside my house. So I like it. I've really enjoyed the times where I've been in. I'm in the Pitcher List one a lot, just because I'll put it on and then I don't have to change the channel, right?
So right. So if you're writing, let them handle it instead of having one game. Because I do try to keep up. Like if there's 4 or 5 games on West Coast time at night when I'm writing the SP chart, I don't like to sit through commercials. So I'll try to change, but it's a little bit of an annoyance. If you're watching the Pitcher List playback, whoever's controlling it, they're bouncing around. It's great. Bubba and Bloom do it as well. So playback.tv, Justin might start his own channel, but either way, check out those ones. It's a blast, especially if you've already got MLB at Bat, because now you get to watch with friends. All right, let's talk some two-step guys. By the way, Joe's still on the mend. He said he should be good next week. He is improving.
Yep.
There's no truth to the rumor that Justin killed Joe.
No,
there was some talk about that, but
I've thought about it, but I have not gone through with it. So
that's dark. But anyway, we're gonna talk some two steps, but we do have to start with a call up, because Dalton Rushing is coming up, or is up for the Dodgers. In fact, started Wednesday night, played pretty well. But I don't know. I got some cold water thrown on this. When he came up, I was like, ooh, non-catching catcher. But apparently they've exclusively said that it's going to be as a secondary catcher. Austin Barnes is gone. And so even though things haven't gone so well in the outfield for, say, Michael Conforto, that's not necessarily going to benefit Rushing. Now, this can be one of those things where they say one thing, they do another. We'll see. But the fact that Barnes got murked makes me believe it, because teams don't like to have their backup catcher floating out there. And then if something happens, who's going to catch? So what do you think of Dalton Rushing coming up? And does he have any value if he's just a backup catcher, even on the Dodgers?
I mean, maybe 15 team as a second catcher. He had a good first game, right?
Right. Welcome to the bigs.
Yeah. I mean, he went 4 for 2, 2 for 4
with 3 runs scored
and a walk, right? So he was valuable, but I think your point is, I don't know if there's going to be enough playing time, and Dalton Rushing he's a top tier prospect. He's a top 10 prospect in all of baseball, second in the Dodgers organization, which just kills me that they just continue to have an amazing team that they bought, and now they're still producing all this talent within the organization. the best run organization in sports, in my opinion. But
I'm not even sure that it could be debated.
Yeah, I just
except for this. Let's nitpick, right? Because they do everything. Generally, large umbrella, they do everything right, quote unquote everything. Yeah. But now let's break down and say it's not necessarily everything. Do they have to keep Chris Taylor and Kike Hernandez? Is that not the same player? Generally speaking, right-handed utility player. And I know they're legacy guys. They've been around forever. But I'm really looking at Chris Taylor. 74 WRC plus last year and 246 plate appearances. 24 this year, albeit just 35 plate appearances. But couldn't they have kept Barnes or even brought up the Dooch, Hunter Fiducia? Or I don't know if that's how you say the last name or not. But couldn't they have brought him up with rushing so that they do have 3 catchers on the board? Put Taylor out of the misery, man. I don't know. Like, what's the point of keeping Taylor and Kike, and now you have Dalton Rushing just playing twice a week behind Smith? That seems like a waste.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. They could bring up Zaire Hope. I know he's a lefty, but he's been unreal. So I don't know. I think when you're like king of the mountain, you can kind of do whatever you want.
You can do whatever the hell you want. You're right. They can bide their time. They can.
The team is so good. They know they're going to be in the playoffs already.
Right.
Now, will they win this division? The Padres only
that's
game
to be
behind.
Seen.
Giants are only 4 games behind.
Yep.
And then the Diamondbacks are only 6 games behind. The Rockies are 21 and a half.
Oh, right. Edging them. Just right. Yeah. Oh, they're right in the mix there. But no, they could be doing Taylor a solid, right? They are good enough that they could just be like, hey, we're going to stick with you.
The nice thing about those guys, like, so I was on the RotoWire podcast and we were talking about Kyren Paris. And Eric was asking me whether or not he should even be rostered in 15-team leagues.
I think in 15s, yes.
And I said, yes, only for the positional flexibility. And that's kind of what Chris Taylor is to the Dodgers, right?
Right.
He's a guy who can play in all the spots. They have a bunch of guys who have health concerns. But again,
Kike does all that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but having a second guy who can, like, when you have one guy who can play 3 spots and another guy who can play 3 spots, now you've got
they can afford the luxury,
4 extra
I guess,
spots being covered in terms of like 2 players. So like it's just
how about just to stay on the Dodgers real quick. I know you love talking Dodgers as a Giants fan. How about Hyun-Sung Kim looking awesome?
Yeah, I did not expect that, honestly.
Incredible 2 weeks. You didn't? Now, okay, did I expect him to hit 429? No, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that. But the fact that he's just raking singles doesn't have me that surprised. Yeah, he looks pretty interesting. I can't pretend I was like on top of it and I have him everywhere. I don't. But maybe it's just because I'm equating him with Ha-Seong Kim, and I'm just like, oh, they look kind of similar. Not.
It's interesting that like he's not making like amazing contact or anything.
Well, he has a 500 BABIP right now. Everything's getting through for Kim.
But like even with a 500 BABIP, he's got a 296 XBA. So like he deserves like a 300 batting average right now. But he's doing that with an 81.6% zone contact, which is well below league average. And he's not being like overly aggressive in the zone. He's only got a 60% zone swing rate. So it's kind of interesting. And he's got a 14% swinging strike rate, which is just barely below his 16.7% strikeout rate. Like
that's
like, there's definitely going to be
strikeouts.
There's definitely going to be some regression coming here.
For sure. And it could be sharp. We'll see. But yeah, again, bottom line with rushing in this role, I think people are going to overpay big this weekend.
Oh, I think for sure they're going to overpay big. To me, the problem with rushing, because I do like him as a prospect, I just don't like him as a Dodgers prospect because he doesn't really have a carrying tool for fantasy. He is going to be kind of an accumulator type. And there's just no way. There's just no way he accumulates over Will Smith if they're not going to be like letting him play the outfield on the days he's not catching. Yeah, because DH is completely locked. First base is completely locked. There's no way for like I was actually hoping they would trade rushing in a deal And maybe they still do because like Austin Barnes, they could just pick him back up off of the wire. But I think for right now, I think people are going to spend. There are going to be people who spend triple digits on Sunday on Dalton Rushing.
You shouldn't come close to that.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
That is like an unmitigated mistake right now. Don't do it, folks. Don't do it unless you're in my league. Burn your money, waste it all. But I just don't see how it's there. You're betting on the come, and I don't know like what you're even hoping for. A Will Smith injury? That's morbid. Yeah. Because again, without a third catcher on this roster, I think they are going to stick to their guns and not give him outfield time. If Barnes had stuck around or Hunter Fiducio was called up, I would be way more interested in this rushing situation because I would think that Conforto would have to be looking over his shoulder. So just keep that in mind this weekend. Two catcher leagues, 15 team. I understand if you want to make him your second catcher if you got nothing there, but even there, I'm not that excited. All right, let's talk some two-step guys. Interesting board next week. A lot of mid-tier guys to discuss. We're going to start with somebody who I think is a lock in 15s. I know you're a big fan, so you're locking him in 15s and probably 12s, but Dodgers are on the board for Brandon Pfaadt. So I did want to ask you about 10s and 12s specifically because he has to go to the Dodgers and to the Cardinals. Brandon Pfaadt been pretty good this year. He's still, I still am not fully there with the confidence. I still don't believe he can consistently get lefties out. 3.76 ERA or 3.73 ERA, 130 WHIP, 1.4 homer 9, only 20% K rate. There's like good and bad within this profile this year for Brandon Pfaadt. 6 wins, which is wonderful, but not bankable. I don't know, man. I still have some nerves about him in shallower leagues. I think in 15s, he has a level of talent that is too good to really sit. But in 10s and 12s, I don't really want this start here, or this two-step from Pfaadt. What do you think?
Yeah, I think in 10s and 12s, I might sit this one. I tend to agree with you that there just hasn't been enough overall growth from Pfaadt. He is making some improvements. He's actually got a better batting average in terms of a lower batting average against lefties than he does against righties this year. So that is something. I think part of the problem is he's giving up more home runs against them, which has always been kind of his issue. The other issue for this one is both these matchups are on the road where he has struggled this year. He has a 1.78 home ERA and a 6.64 road ERA. So I actually think I might even sit this in some 15s, depending on what my other
options you can. Yeah. Like if you've got the bodies where you can sit Brandon Pfaadt. Now, I will say, our standard caveat of if you can't start a two-step, you need to assess the player's spot on your roster. I do think you can skip Pfaadt and still justify holding him through it.
Yeah.
Because you're running away from the Dodgers, and that's reason enough to say, hey, I don't want to start this, but I don't necessarily want to get rid of this guy. So I understand if you do that. But other than that, I'm not interested in starting Brandon Pfaadt. Now I came in negative this year.
The Cardinals have been legit offense.
That's why I want to be careful here. This is a difficult two-step. Both of these are tough.
The Cardinals have the 9th best offense in terms of WRC plus this year. So you're facing the 2nd best offense in the Dodgers and the 9th best in the Cardinals. I'm totally fine sitting this in any format. Yep. But I think in most 15s or deeper, you're just not going to have the options, and you probably have to roll with it. But in 10s and 12s, I don't think I would start Pfaadt here. I just think there's too much risk in terms of like the home runs. The Dodgers are 2nd in Major League Baseball in home runs. Now the Cardinals are not really a home run team. They're 19th in baseball.
No, that's not their strength, but still, got to be careful here.
I mean, I think this is one of those games where Pfaadt, the Dodgers game where Pfaadt could like give up 6 home runs, and you're like, all of a sudden you're like, oh no, he just dropped 10 spot on my head.
He can't do anything to fix it on Sunday. Right. Like that's what I worry about with Brandon Pfaadt.
Have you watched any of the Yankees A's series? The Dodgers A's series, where like they just have been like both teams have just gone off. Like,
oh, absolutely. And yesterday, I'm not doing the literally hyperbole or whatever. every time I looked up, the Dodgers were doing damage.
Yeah, it just
like it was poor Osvaldo Bido. Spoiled his. I mean, he hadn't been pitching that well. In fact, he has another dud, 8 earned against Texas that kind of has pushed his ERA up. He'd been kind of recovering from that a little bit, and then back-to-back Yankees, Dodgers, and now his ERA is up at 5.82 for Osvaldo.
At least if you've got Bido and fantasy, you didn't start those, right?
You were skipping those, right? Yeah, those were obvious misses. And in fact, let's go to the Athletics because they've got 2 next week, including Mr. Bido. JT Ginn and Osvaldo Bido are both at home, which again, I still have to get myself out of the mindset of seeing the Athletics, an Athletics starter get 2 at home and being excited about it, because you used to automatically have a modicum of interest in that because of the park. Now that is reversed in Sacramento. Angels and Phillies coming to visit Ginn and Bido. Let's start with Ginn. Anything for Ginn, JT Ginn?
I mean, I think we could probably answer both of these at the same time. I believe next week is going to be, if my weather app will work.
When the weather starts to push.
Yeah, I believe both. Or for both these guys, like the weather is going to be 90-degree plus in Sacramento all week, starting Monday.
That's trouble.
I don't think I want to start either of these guys. Like
that is trouble. I don't either.
In a 15-team league, you might have to do it.
No. I'd rather start like a reliever, a 1 start. That's too scary.
Yeah, there's got to be guys on the wire too.
You got to do something, because both are available in my main, so they're not on a roster. So I certainly wouldn't go pick up Ginn or Bido.
Let other people pick them up.
Yes,
like don't even put a bid on them, and just like let other people pick them up, because other people will just start them based on the fact that it's a two-step. With the Angels who have not been good offensively recently. And well, actually, the Angels are like 5th in baseball in home runs. Jeez, but that's got to be from early on in the season,
right? Because they did have a run there when the aforementioned Kyron Paris was raking. Yeah. They did some things
over the last 30 days. They're 16th in home runs, and their WRC plus is worst in baseball.
Okay,
so people will pick up these guys as like, hey, we're going up against the Angels. I'm going to at least get one good start. But then you've got to go up against Philadelphia in Sacramento, and that just scares the crap out of me. I wouldn't. And even though like Philadelphia hasn't been great over the last,
it's just too risky.
It's just too risky, I think. Yeah.
It's just too risky with either of these guys, Ginn or Bido. I wouldn't do it, folks. And honestly, pretty easy skip for me here, but maybe merits some discussion, at least with one of the guys. Out to Baltimore, Dean Kramer and Tomoyuki Sagano. They're going to go to Milwaukee and Boston. So a double dip on the road for these two guys. I think the more compelling of the two is Sagano, unless you got something you want to say on Dean Kramer. I'm not a Sagano believer. There's some Sagano believers in my comments. They call him Saigano, and they try to convince me to raise him up my daily SP chart when I inevitably rank him pretty low, and I cite the fact that he's got like a single-digit strikeout minus walk rate, and that it's just not. It's excuse me. With rounding, it's now up to 10%, 9.6. I'll give him the credit for 10%. 10% strikeout minus walk with a 1.5 homer 9, throwing a bunch of slop up there. I know he's got a 3.08 ERA and a 1.03 WHIP. I don't buy. I just feel like the downside is coming with Sagano, and that you're running a tightrope here. And I don't think I want to go to Milwaukee or Boston with a 1.5 homer 9. Do you have any interest in Sagano specifically? I don't think you're interested in Kramer.
I mean, Kramer has a 2.75 ERA in the month of May.
Are you going to start him?
No way. Like
Okay.
he's got like a 6.80 ERA on the road this year. He's only good at home. No, I'm not risking that at all. I just wanted to point it out because I knew someone else would.
That is
like,
fair.
Look, last 3 starts, Kramer's been great. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm still not doing that.
With a good whip too, so it's not completely fraudulent, but it's a 185, BABIP that's really helping Dean Kramer. But yeah, with Sagano, then he does have good surface numbers. Can you get there anywhere?
4.87 xERA. He's got a 92% zone contact rate. He's getting lucky in the BABIP and 226 BABIP. Like, there's no way a guy who allows as much contact as Sagana does is going to have a 226 BABIP. It should be over 300.
He's been better on the road too. We should point out it's worth pointing that out. But like, I don't know, man. He's got something right there. There is a little je ne sais quoi there with Sagano where he can kind of outpitch his peripherals a bit, but I don't think he can outdo him this much. 3.08 ERA against a 5-something expected. I just think there's trouble brewing.
I think I can get behind like doing it in a 15 because one, at least the Milwaukee start, which is the worst of these two offenses, is at the beginning. So there's a chance you miss the Boston start.
Right.
If there is maybe a rain out or something like that in the beginning of the Boston series. But there's just so much risk in that Boston game. Like, Boston is a good offense. Over the last 30 days, Boston is the 6th best offense in baseball, and they've got the 3rd most home runs. So like I want to avoid that if I can, but I do I would start Sagano over either of the A's guys if that's my option.
Sure. So, I'm with you there, but that's not a resounding endorsement for me with Sagano. So
would you do
I'm
Sagano
just super
or
nervous. I would go with Brandon Pfaadt.
I would too.
I think he's the more talented guy with the better chance to pop off there. And I just don't see, Sagano, he can't miss bats. And so the ball is going to be in play, and I think it could be some trouble this week. So be careful there. Let's go to Boston. Where these two will be facing, Kramer and Sagano will be facing Hunter Dobbins and Walker Buehler. So there was some concern that Hunter Dobbins would be short-lived with Walker Buehler returning, but then Tanner Houck got Tanner Houck again. Mm-hmm. Justin Masterson, 1.5 over there, got absolutely clobbered and heading to the bullpen. So it'll be Dobbins and Buehler. Let's start with Dobbins. Wasn't great against Detroit, but you get a pass for that. Like, you don't get judged sternly for not cooking the Tigers because the Tigers are awesome. Best team in the universe, I've heard many people say. Other people are saying that, Justin. I'm quoting, okay? I don't, who am I to say? But Hunter Dobbins trying to bounce back from that start. He gets the Mets and Baltimore both at home. Where do you stand on young rookie, Boston rookie Hunter Dobbins?
I like Dobbins. It doesn't walk guys. His home run rate is, just under 1. The ERA indicators kind of back up what he's doing and even say he should improve some. He doesn't get a ton of strikeouts, but because he doesn't walk guys, like the strikeout to walk rate is pretty pristine.
Still good, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think there's maybe a little bit more strikeout upside in the stuff. 12% swinging strike rate tells me you should be probably closer to 22, 23%.
Right.
The overall stuff isn't amazing, but the location is. So I think he can make this work long term. You got that Red Sox offense behind you. As long as he doesn't get blown up, like, he's gonna have a chance to win every start out, which is something I'm interested in.
I think I might do this. I have Dobbins, sat him this week, kind of wanted to see where it goes. Could he do something, or would they push Houck out? Because when I got him, it was looking like it might be a one and done for Dobbins. But now that he's got the opportunity, I could see doing this. Do you like him or like a one start Ryan Gusto?
I would take Dobbins here.
Gusto is going to get he'll get Seattle next week, which is not even easy because
it's not. Seattle's been a really good. It's the 5th best offense over the last 30 days.
Here's a better one. one. Shane Smith is a one start next week, also against Seattle. What about him versus Hunter Dobbins?
I think I'm taking Dobbins 2 start. Give me the 2 start here.
I think so too, and I have that
because
choice.
as much as I like Shane Smith, like, his win potential is
0.
like so small. Like,
0.
It's terrible.
It's not 0, but it's very, very tiny. Every game you go into with Shane Smith, you're like, I need good ratios because my win chance is just very low. So I like Shane Smith, but I would start Dobbins here too.
Before you move on to the next guy, you mentioned Tanner Houck. his last start before being moved into the bullpen, he gave this is just a crazy stat, right? He gave up 2 1/3, or sorry, he went 2 1/3 innings and gave up 11 earned runs.
Oh my God.
That has only been done in the entire history of baseball. That stat line, 11 earned in 2 1/3, has only been done twice. Once by Tanner Houck. Who was the other?
Vin Mazzaro.
No, it was Tanner Houck earlier this season.
I thought maybe it was, but I didn't know you were trivial pursuing me. That's unbelievable. By the way, he went to the IL. He didn't go to the bullpen. But flex,
he should go to the minors, is where he should
right?
go.
Flexor pronator strain. With an injury, it would make some sense why he's struggling. He's been so bad, dating back to the second half of last year too. With Houck, you holding him anywhere?
No, but you know what the crazy thing is? Give me a second. I'm gonna do some quick math real quick.
Quick maths.
Because he gave up that 11 earned runs twice.
Just a casual 22 earnies, bro.
Right. So if we take off 22 earned runs, he's actually given up only 17 earned runs in, what is that, 39 innings.
So it's like a decent sample if you look around those two 11 bombs.
Yeah, so let's see, 39 innings and 17 earned runs. He has a 3.92 ERA in the rest of his starts. He's competent. It's not what you want necessarily from Houck, but like he wouldn't be like dropped in every single league.
No.
If it hadn't been for those 2 terrible starts. Now, like, you can't like just say like, well, you don't count those because you started those. Like,
oh, for sure, especially the Detroit one because he had gotten back on track.
Well, especially the
actually
Tampa Bay one because
both of them really,
yeah, his best start of the season preceded the Tampa Bay one. So
and then the 4 starts after for Houck, he had a 3.57 ERA in 22 2/3. People were like, okay, he's recovered from the Tampa Bay dud.
3 of those 4 starts, he had gotten strikeouts. You're like, okay, Tanner Houck is back.
Oh my God!
So you ate both of those.
That's a nightmare, dude.
I mean, I just loved looking at, because when I was on the RotoWire podcast yesterday with Eric Halterman, like we were talking about some starters who started off slow but are now back to being good, and like, do we buy it? And I kept like doing that where like, Bailey Ober had a terrible start at the beginning
season debut.
Season debut. Chris Sale had a terrible start at the beginning of the season, and I kept going like, you take this off, and all of a sudden his ERA is sparkling, right? So like, I just wanted to see what it would be without.
No, I mean that is crazy, and we always advocate game logging, looking into it, seeing what it's like. Again, it doesn't mean that those starts don't count, but it's a lot different, to me at least, when somebody is getting beat up consistently every start, 4 to 6 runs a bunch of different times, versus somebody that has one ugly start and then 5 good ones. Like that's a big difference to me. And unfortunately, if your 2 bad ones are both 11 earnies, you're going to have an injury and you're going to be on the IL like Tanner Houck. Let's stay with Boston Walker Buehler returning. So this is going to be coming off the IL. He's going to get the same Mets, Baltimore. Are you starting him anywhere, Walker Buehler?
Probably not. I mean, outside of like really, really deep leagues or place where you don't have another option, but I would think in most like 15s, you probably dropped Walker Buehler when he got hurt. Yeah, he shouldn't have been above the cut line in terms of holding on to him. So like, you'd have to go to the wire and get him, and I wouldn't. Buehler just hasn't looked right since coming back, and this is something I kind of mentioned yesterday I keep mentioning the RotoWire podcast that I was on. It was a good episode. Go listen to it.
Eric Rules.
Yeah, he's so funny, that dude. But he just, since Tommy John, he has not looked like the same guy. And this was something I kind of brought it up while we were talking about Strider and just the process that went into drafting him and drafting the other Tommy John returnee guys. And I think we've gotten to this point where guys where we just automatically give pitchers the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, once they're back, they'll be back, right? Even if we kind of give the caveat that, like, hey, they might struggle in their first year back, but they'll eventually be back to being who they are, and not everybody is. And Walker Buehler is clearly not the same guy he
No.
was with the Dodgers before surgery. So I don't know that I would go to the wire to pick him up this week. I think I would go.
I wouldn't either.
Option.
Like, here's the thing too, where the results, and I listen, I don't have time to deep analyze everybody all the time. So I'm sure there's times that I look at a chunk of 4 or 5 starts and make a bad assessment on somebody because I'm using the data here. But I've been keeping tabs on Buehler where I have been watching the starts. So even though his last 4 before the IL was a 2.59 ERA and 24 in a third, he was not pitching that well. Like the 3 wins, like you were skating. And I know that those numbers look good. All 4 starts look really good. But if you watch the actual starts, 2 of them, he only had 3 strikeouts. The 9 strikeouts were against the White Sox. So that was degree of difficulty was really helping him there.
Well, and in that White Sox start, like he had base runners all over the place and got really lucky. Like I
just wasn't convinced. Like I just was not convinced. He went on the IL. He's coming back. I love Buehler. I want him to be good, but I'm not going to just force it. And I don't think he's there yet. So I would be very careful here, folks. I would not chase him here. I'm not in on Walker Buehler right now. Ben Brown gets an at Miami, which is very appealing, and then at Cincinnati, which is a bit tougher. The young pitcher for the Cubs has been volatile. Where do we come out with Ben Brown? Is the Miami matchup appealing enough? At least it's the front end too. So if he did lose a start on the back end, he would get the good one out front. Is that enough to make him super appealing this week? Ben Brown as a 2-start.
I think it is. I mean, yeah, Cincinnati is a much tougher opponent, but they've actually not been they're not like world beaters or anything recently.
No.
Like they're the 13th best offense in baseball.
They're like a mid-pack squad.
And Miami is just terrible. They're just atrocious. So like they
really are.
I'm totally fine taking this gamble. I don't love Ben Brown, the starter, from like an overall context. Like he needs a third pitch. Like this whole 2-pitch mix isn't going to work long term. But this is the kind of guy you take your shots with, and I think this is one of the weeks where you can take a shot because it's Miami and Cincinnati. I'm not super worried about.
No, I mean, again, I think Cincy solid. They can bite you. That is definitely the hard one here. But the at Miami is too appealing. And even an at Cincy that maybe doesn't go super well, like 5 innings, 4 runs for Brown, could still result in a win because they're so good.
Yeah.
So I think he is going to be one of the more appealing pickups this week in 15s and 12s. I don't know about 10s. I still think it's probably dicey.
Depends on your other options. But
yeah, I don't think it's off the table.
I can make the argument because while he's got a 4.75 ERA, like the FIP is 3.31, the xFIP is 3.49. Like he should be much better. He's got a 3.81 BABIP right now.
24-3 strikeout to walk in his last 4, which is 20 innings for Ben Brown, and that was after 2 4-walk games in a 3-start stretch, and he only has 3 total walks in the 4 starts since then. So bottom line is Ben Brown's looked a lot better over the last 4.
Ben Brown is one of these guys that, like, I think he will take off the moment he adds a third usable pitch, right? Like, he's one of these guys where if we hear him, like, hey, he's developing this in the off season, like, he's a guy that I would, like, just shoot up my boards. Because
for sure. Like, there's a lot of upside here.
He's one added pitch away from him being a potential stud.
Totally agree. So, yeah, I do like him here. There is risk, but it's such that I'm willing to take that risk and go for him. Let's go to Cleveland, talk Logan Allen and Gavin Williams. Different levels here. I think Allen we're only considering for deep leagues, and then Gavin Williams is a broader conversation where probably leaning toward him in the deep leagues, and then we want to discuss shallow leagues. So let's start with Logan Allen. Would you start him in any 15s?
Going up against
didn't say the matchups.
Who everybody has a concussion right now.
At Twins and at Detroit. So a double dip on the road for Allen and Gavin.
Yeah, the Twins have been better offensively. They just can't stay healthy.
No.
And
Buxton
your
got
Tigers
hurt.
are good offensively. So I think I'm staying away from Logan Allen here just because of his blow up potential. The hard part is like he'll then like he just put up 6 scoreless against the Brewers. Like
Yeah.
which is but
Whenever you're out with Logan Allen, he drops a gem. That's just what it feels like.
It's a 152 whip right now. Like
that's just slamming you every time.
He allows so much contact in the zone. 90%
not enough
zone
Ks.
contact. Yeah, like 7% swinging strike rate. I don't think I want this. Like it's just I think there's so much blow up potential. Even with Minnesota being beat up right now. Yeah. I don't think I want to risk this one.
I don't either with Logan Allen. He's somebody I keep on my radar. In fact, I compared him earlier this year to like my AL version of Matthew Liberatore. Remember early on with Liberatore, before we really saw some steps forward, I was like, he's a guy I like, y'all, but I'm not recommending him too heavily because we've been burnt so many times. Well, he jumped, he progressed. Liberatore did. Allen did not make the same progressions. So I just kind of, again, I keep tabs on him, but I'm not advocating starting him. I'm not chasing him here. Let's talk Gav. I've been on Gav all year. Gavin Williams, you've been out on Gavin Williams all year. So far, I think it would go to you. 4.29 ERA in 42 innings with a 164 whip. That's the real issue for sure. His last 3 haven't been too bad, at least from like an ERA standpoint. 2.57 ERA in 14 innings. But the problem, Justin, is that aforementioned whip. Even in those 3 starts, it's at 179. But 23 strikeouts in 14 innings during that time. There are positives. There are negatives. Is it too much to take Gavin Williams at Minnesota and at Detroit right now? Or is this the time that you do it and you say, hey, if you can't start him, you got to cut him? Because I do think he's at that level right now.
This one's tough because the real issue is the walks. Got a 13% walk rate this year. Like that.
Yeah.
That is
like he's
brutal.
A maddening watch. Have you been watching any of his starts this year?
I've seen a few of his starts, and he may have. I'm gonna double check to see if he actually does that. He may have the worst location plus in baseball. It's 87.
I believe it. Like that is. It's brutal.
Yeah. Let's see. Pitch modeling.
Again, Gavin Williams is a remarkably maddening watch right now because he just so many pitches.
He is tied everything. He's tied for the worst location plus.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised at all.
With Taj Bradley,
another favorite of mine. Sweet.
Yeah. You just love guys who can't hit the zone, huh?
Right. I like lively, talented arms that need to work on their command, and that's a very maddening player class.
Here's the problem with Williams this year is he got a 102 stuff plus, so it's like it's above league average,
but it's not hot.
It's not like Garrett Crochet has a bad location plus. He has got the 3rd worst in baseball, 92 location plus, but he's got a 111 stuff plus. Like Christopher Sanchez is tied for the 5th worst with 95 location plus, with a 114 stuff plus. Like you can make up for not being able to locate as well on a pitch to pitch basis if your stuff is just so nasty no one knows how to hit it anyway.
Right.
Like it's just not going to work for Williams. He's got to figure out a way to make it to the zone, and I just don't know if I buy that he can. He's actually lowered his zone percentage 3 percentage points, and as I always mention, a little bit of change in zone percentage can make huge dividends, and we're seeing that this year with this massive walk rate.
So is there enough here though to take the shot for a 2 start this week, or are you cutting
not for me? I mean, I wouldn't have drafted or kept him rostered, but like I understand, like in a 15-team league, I think it's really hard to not or to like cut a guy like this because there is upside. We've seen it. Like there have been starts this year that I've seen of Gavin Williams where I go, oh, this is what people are buying.
Right.
It's the consistency start to start that you really struggle with.
Inning to inning, dude. Again, I watched most of these starts this year with Gavin Williams, and it's been so frustrating.
So I don't know that you're dropping him in a 15, but in
Okay.
10 and 12, like I don't think he should be rostered right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would actually try to maybe start him in a 12. I would consider him. I'm a sucker for him, though. I really am. I understand the flaws. I do think there is upside, but this at Minnesota at Detroit is not easy. You talk about Minnesota, like they're not terrible. They're just not healthy. They kind of lurk around the mid pack. So who knows what offense is going to be there by the time he faces them. But then Detroit is just 6th in WOBA against righties. Like they're just flat out difficult. So
all right,
be careful here.
Let's do a would you rather here. Would you rather this week start Gavin Williams or Brandon Pfaadt?
Gavin Williams.
Wow.
You're not like just deathly afraid of the Dodgers enough to...
I am. Okay, Gavin Williams or Hunter Dobbins.
Gavin Williams.
What? Gavin Williams or Sagano?
I knew that one was coming. Gavin Williams.
Gavin Williams or Ben Brown?
Ben Breezy.
Okay.
There you go.
I will take all 3 of those guys this week over Gavin Williams on the board.
All right, done.
Okay. I was just teeing this up.
Obviously. Obviously. All right, Gav. You burned me enough this year. Give me a good one here. Let's turn this ship around.
Brandon Pfaadt, Scano, and what's the third one?
Hunter Dobbins, because I agreed on Ben Brown, so you don't get him.
Okay. Yeah.
The funny thing is, I'll be rooting for Dobbins. I have Dobbins and Gav. I'm going to start both next week.
This is going to be the week where like Williams just goes out and shoves. I'm going to lose all 3.
I hope.
I'm just trying to add board bets left.
I love it. I love it. Kyle Freeland, Antonio Senzatella. LOL is what I put on the board next to them. We're not starting either of them anywhere. Davis Martin gets Seattle and Texas at home. I probably could have done the LOL next to him too, but I know some people kind of like Davis Martin. Do you see anything there for the White Sox righty? 15 team viable, of course, at the most.
It's interesting because he's got a 3.65 ERA. So
that's what I'm saying. He's done some things that have put him on people's radar.
It's a 136 WHIP though, and a 5.98 xERA.
I'm starting Gavin Williams with a 2.90 WHIP or whatever the hell it is. So
yeah,
who am I to judge?
He isn't like a very good overall pitcher. What he does do is locate better than Gavin Williams, which isn't that difficult.
Well, I was gonna say, who doesn't?
And so like the walk rate, I think, is one of the things that's really, really helping him. He's just so damn hittable. When you've got a 136 WHIP with a 6% walk rate,
right?
You're just giving up. He's given up 93% zone contact.
Just peppering the zone. Is
just absolutely atrocious.
The upside with Davis Martin, right? Like, what are you really chasing here? He's 2-4 on the win-loss record.
You're not going to get wins. He's actually got the highest zone contact rate in all of baseball from qualified pitchers.
Seattle's good. Right?
Yeah, I'm not doing this.
If Seattle was last year's Seattle, maybe, because Texas is down.
This feels like landmine week.
Absolutely, dude. There's some landmines out there for sure. Let's continue on here. We go to Jose Soriano and Kyle Hendricks on the Angels. They go to the Athletics and then host Miami. So they go to a very scary Sacramento Park against that quality lineup. But then they get the Miami weekend start. Is that enough to get you in on Soriano or Hendricks? They're pretty different. So let's start with Soriano. I think you got to go with him in 15s. If not, I do think he's a cut. Like if you can't start him in this 2-step, then you shouldn't be rostering him. So I'm pretty close. I'm pretty good with him there. What about 10s and 12s for Jose Soriano? And do you agree with my 15-team take on him?
I think you have to roll with Miami on the docket.
Right.
I don't
have to cut otherwise.
If you're in a daily moves league, like sit him for that one, because like I said, it's gonna
sit him for Oakland. You mean?
Yeah,
for Athletics. I'm sorry. God.
It's gonna be like 92 or something like that in Sacramento on Monday, and it just and on Tuesday. So
he keeps the ball down at least. Like that has been his skill.
He doesn't give up the home runs, but that lineup is actually pretty fun. Like it's
I like watching the Athletics quite a bit.
Yeah, it's the 8th best team in terms of home runs over the last 30 days.
I believe it.
And the 7th best team in terms of WRC plus. Like, this is a good lineup he's going to be facing. So, like, this is scary. So this is definitely one of those, like, where you're just hoping he survives versus the Athletics.
Right.
And then you get to Miami so you can cook them. So, but I mean, Soriano's got a lot of issues. Like, I do like him, and I know the 3.46 ERA looks great, but it's a 1.46 WHIP, and that's because he walks guys at a 10% rate, and then he gives up too much contact in the zone. It's not the same levels of like Davis Martin or Sagano, but it is 88% zone contact, which isn't good. You don't want that. It's 29th worst in baseball for a qualified starting pitcher.
That's right.
So there is a lot of risk at the top half of this start for Soriano. I think I'm still rolling with it in 15s, and I think a lot of 12s. Like, I would start Soriano over Gavin Williams. That's for sure.
It's not for sure for me, but I would.
You're not putting that one on the board.
No. I'm a big Sori guy as well. So you got two of my faves going toe to toe there, and I think I'm with you. Like, I'm definitely starting him in 15s. Like I said, I do think it is. If you don't start Soriano this week, you should cut him. Type situation, and I do like him for some 12s. Probably not 10s, but you probably don't need to. Does Kyle Hendricks give you anything anywhere? Is he a 15 viable at all?
I mean, he's going up against Miami.
Is the answer.
No,
I know, but no is the answer.
Yeah, no's the answer.
Because where's your upside? If you can pluck just the Miami start, sure, start anybody against Miami. But I'm not risking Athletics.
He just gives up so much contact. Like, you have a higher strikeout rate,
right? And Hendricks is the Sunday start, so he's at bigger risk of one little bump, and then all of a sudden he gets the Yankees early next week, as opposed to
but that's not going to happen because it's in Sacramento. There's no rain in Sacramento.
I'm not worried about weather. I'm worried about like somebody returns from the IL or something like that.
I don't think they have anybody to return.
Shut up. Let me do my hypothetical.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
There probably isn't a lot of risk on it, but I'm just saying it is the back end start.
He's also one of those guys that he allows enough contact where, like, and he doesn't have enough upside in terms of the strikeout rate. Where, like, Miami's not good, but like Miami could still get to you. Like, they do have guys who can hit bombs and stuff like that.
Anybody can get to Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, and so like Miami's is tied for the 12th most home runs in baseball.
Oh wow!
Over the last month. So like
wow,
like they're not a nothing team necessarily. Well, they got Kyle Stowers who just keeps hitting bombs left and right. So
love him. What about his potential opponent, Cal Quantrill? I mean, you talk about Spider-Man meme. If they get to face each other on that Sunday, they gotta reenact the Spider-Man meme.
It'll be finally proof that they're not the same person.
Right. So Quantrill gets the Cubs, and then at the Angels, I think the Cubs is pretty disqualifying in and of itself. But anything there for Cal Quantrill?
No.
Okay, let's move on then. Quinn Priester for Milwaukee gets Baltimore and at Pittsburgh. You love the revenge game at Pittsburgh, but as I keep reiterating, and will continue to do so because I keep seeing people think that you can start against Baltimore because they are crummy as a team. It's not the offense, y'all. Now, the offense is not world beating, but it is a top 10 offense versus righties in WOBA. So let's be careful here. Anything out of Quinn Priester with Milwaukee?
No.
I want them to find something because they're good at pitching development and he's kind of intriguing, but it's not been there. He has like a 1% strikeout minus walk.
Yeah. This is not good. Like it's an 88 location plus, which is up there with like some of the worst in baseball. And then it's a 97 stuff plus. Like, he's just not a good pitcher.
That is it's really bad.
That is, I mean, that the bottom line is like he's got a 156 whip. Like,
he's just not missing bats for Quinn Priester. And so Milwaukee has work to do if they're going to develop him. I agree. Pass everywhere. Will Warren hosts Texas and then goes to Colorado. think he's one of those where in 15s you probably don't have enough depth to pass Will Warren. But what about everywhere else? Where are we at with the youngster from the Yankees, Will Warren?
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Like he has been unlucky in terms, or at least according to the ERA indicators, right? You know, it's a 4.26 xERA, a 3.18 xFIP. And so like it says he should be much better than this. I mean, the problem is he has just walked too many guys, and that's why he's got a 132 whip. But if he could attack the zone a little bit more, this stuff is pretty decent.
Right.
So I think like and he's actually able to locate fairly well. So I think for me, I want to see him start to increase like a little bit, I think, of the slider usage. His slider is his best pitch, and he keeps throwing the fastball, which is actually like one of his worst pitches. And so like I want to see him like pump up that slider usage and that sinker usage, because those are his two best pitches. And like stop throwing the fastball as much. So I mean, he only throws it 36% of the time because he's got like 5 or 6 pitches.
But I think there's something here for Will Warren, though.
Yeah, I think there's some real talent here, and it's just a matter of kind of time to unlock it. I do think he has been pretty unlucky. Yeah, I mean, a 65% strand rate, and yeah, the BABIP's probably pretty in line. So yeah, I think just get unlucky a little bit in the strand rate here, and I think he's gonna be fine.
I think he's a start even with Colorado. In Colorado, I like him in 15s. I like him in 12s.
The only problem in Colorado is pitches that move don't move as much, right?
True. But that team is so bad.
That team is terrible. We were talking about it on Monday, right? Like this has the potential to be again the worst team in baseball history.
Yes.
Not just the worst team. They're definitely the worst team in baseball, but worst team in baseball history. And so like, and you got the Yankees behind you. So like, even if you don't put up like a pristine start for Will Warren, you know the Yankees are going to support you.
For me, the one I always cite is like 5 innings, 4 runs, which is pretty blah. Like you don't love that, but you get enough innings to get win qualified. Yeah. And I think that could be what Will Warren does in Colorado, but he could also shove because they're bad enough that he could feasibly shove. So I really like him in 15s and 12s, and I think he's even on the page in 10s to at least consider for Warren.
Especially considering all the other like I said, this is just a brutal week for 2 stars.
Right.
I think that you can make the argument that if you really wanted to start, especially if like you're in a head-to-head categories league where you're trying to like get as many wins as you can, like I think that Will Warren makes a lot of sense in that kind of league in a 10-teamer.
Yep, totally agree. Let's go to Pittsburgh. Mitch Keller and Bailey Falter both get Cincinnati and Milwaukee. Are you seeing anything from either of them? Let's start with the righty Keller before we get to the lefty Falter. You know, Keller's got some name value that kind of always keeps his draft price probably higher than it should be. He's been fine. 4.15 ERA, 133 whip this year, kind of ho-hum. Good starts here, the occasional dud there. Where do we come out here for a 2-step for Mitch Keller? Anything that has you looking to roster him this week? And if so, what league formats?
I mean, both these starts are at home, so that helps.
Right.
We got to talk about like the epic fall off in stuff for Mitch Keller over the course of the last 2 seasons. He's stuff plus this year is 96. It's pretty much the worst of his career if you don't count his rookie season, which was the 2020 shortened season, right? Last year it was 100, but the year before that it was 107. Like it has dropped off tremendously in 2 years. And you have to wonder if it's just the usage, like the wear and tear. Dude is throwing a crap ton of innings over the course of the last 3 seasons. And he just doesn't have the same movement on his pitches. You at least you knew that Mitch Keller was probably going to beat you up in whip at times, right? Like he was never going to be a strong whip asset. Like his best whip season has been 125, and he's a career 141 whip guy. So like you always knew like, hey, the whip is going to be a problem for Keller, but you get strikeouts and you get innings. You're still getting the innings, but the strikeout rate has dropped below 20% this year.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to start him. I mean, I think for this 2-start week, like, you can probably start him fairly easily because Milwaukee's been a terrible team over the last 30 days offensively, and Cincinnati it's good but not great, and you're in Pittsburgh where
both being in Pittsburgh is very helpful here in my opinion.
Yeah. So I think you can start him in a 15-team league this week, but I'm really concerned if I drafted Mitch Keller because the stuff is just so bad right now.
Yeah, I agree that start this in your 15s, maybe in some 12s. I don't know. I hope not. I don't know. Like, okay, he gave him 7 earned against the Yankees, which you could have easily skipped, and you should have. Since then, it's a 3.40 ERA with a 3.59 FIP. So it's been all right. Like that's a solid run there. His worst start in those last 7 was against San Diego, 5 runs, 4 of them earned in 5 innings. And again, you could have easily skipped that. If you're curating now, in fairness, if we're talking about curation, you would have skipped the 6 innings, 3 runs against the 2 earned at the Dodgers. So you got to take that out as well.
Let's be honest. Have you started him in the last 4 games? The Dodgers, Padres, Cardinals, and Mets.
I mean,
these are all top 10 offenses. So I don't know that anybody started him during this stretch.
I wonder, like, I don't know. I even just talked them up this episode, but for some reason, St. Louis doesn't scare me. So I could still see people like having started him there. But yeah, there is a world where you've missed all this Keller goodness because you've been waiting for a good start. But I do think the 2-step here makes sense at home. And it is definitely, if you're not using him here, cut him.
Yeah.
Because why would you keep rostering him? If you can't do a double dip at home for Mitch Keller, you should not be rostering him. What about Bailey Falter? Sorry, go ahead.
It's like, for me, like, even though he's been better during this stretch, like the stuff plus is still 96.
Right. No, I mean, he's got his flaws. He is a streamer. Yeah. Like he is a team streamer at best in 15s for Mitch Keller, but he is streamer for sure. Is Bailey Falter doing anything for you? He's been pitching better of late. Is there anything behind it?
It's a little interesting. xERA is 3.72. So he's actually pitching fairly well. I mean, he doesn't have good stuff plus numbers. His location plus is just right around league average. He does give up too much contact in the zone, and that whip is always going to be an issue, though it's only 121 this year. I don't know. I'm just not enthused by a guy whose strikeout rate starts with a 1. He's got an 18% strikeout rate this year and an almost 10% walk rate. I just don't know that there is enough upside to warrant starting a guy like Bailey Falter because Pittsburgh's not going to win games.
Yep.
And so, like, I just think the blow-up potential, even though he's pitched better.
No, you're right.
I just don't know that there's enough juice here to like warrant like taking the gamble.
That's exactly where I come out with it.
I will say he's been really good at home this year. It's a 3 flat ERA at home, and both these starts are at home. His whip has been 0.79 at home.
Would you maybe run it in 15s?
I think I might run it at a 15, especially considering all the other like poor options here.
Right.
I think I might.
On the table in 15s. He'll be picked up a bunch this week.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of options, like you said. I think 15s is the best I can do with Falter, though. And you got to go in eyes wide open. You got to understand you're taking a big risk here. If you wear it.
A big risk for not a lot of upside.
That's exactly why I'm not that thrilled. That's why it's like very YOLO. It's like, okay, fine, I'll just do it because I'm looking for something. But I would not be super interested here with Bailey Falter. All right, let's continue on and go to Eric Fetty. Now, I keep not recommending him. I keep putting him pretty low on the daily SP chart because he couldn't strike us out, and it's very like Cal Hendricksy back when Cal Hendricks was more of a bankable asset, but still that sort of like, I don't know, man, do you really like this? He got pummeled for 7 against Milwaukee 3 starts ago. Or 4 starts ago, and then the 3 starts since then, 1.37 ERA, including a shutout again at Washington, and then 5 2/3 scoreless at Philly. So like he can get in these grooves where he pitches really well. Eric Fetty next week is going to get Detroit and Arizona both at home. Is there anything there? That's 2 really difficult offenses coming to visit him.
That's Detroit's the 4th best offense in baseball over the last 30 days, and the Diamondbacks are the 8th. And both these teams are top 4 in home runs offensively, so or top 5. So I don't really want this. I will say that the interesting thing for me here is, yes, he's walking the yard, but his location plus is actually really, really good. It's a 106 location plus. The problem is he just doesn't have very good stuff. And he just allows way too much in-zone contact.
So he's just nibbling with the walks then at 10%? Or no, wait, that's not his. What's his walk rate? Sorry, I was on a different page.
It's really, really high. It's his walk rate is 11.5%.
Oh, even worse. Yeah. So we'll round that up to 12. For Fetty, a guy you think of command and control.
It's the Timu version of Blake Snell. So he actually has pretty good command and control. The problem is like he nibbles a lot, and he's like, I'm just gonna put guys on base if I get behind in the count.
Right. I'll try with the next guy.
But the problem is like he doesn't have Blake Snell's strikeout rate.
Exactly.
So he doesn't give up home runs. So he's just like, I'll put a guy on because I'm not gonna give up the homer. But he also doesn't have the strikeouts to get guys out, so he can just be dinked and dunked to death. And like he's getting really lucky in the BABIP. He's got a 258 BABIP.
That's what scares me. Like he's been pitching. Eric Fetty's been pitching well and making me look like a goofus when I keep not recommending him. But then I look at the underlying skills and I'm like, I still don't believe this.
This feels like regression week, right? You got 2 offenses that could beat you up, and you're just not doing enough protecting of yourself. You've been getting lucky. But yeah, I do think that this is a bad week to start Eric Fetty.
Okay, then we are on the same page there. Be careful with this. I know this will be picked up in spots because it's 2 at home for somebody who's pitching well, but I think there's a lot of potential trouble brewing here if you get too gung-ho with Fetty, even in a 15-teamer. All right, we've got a few more here. Your boy. Now, it's going to be a no. But I just want to bring him up because he's pitching well and he does get the White Sox on the end of the week. Patrick Corbin, he has to go to the Yankees. So again, that's pretty disqualifying right there immediately. But I just wanted to point out 3.35 ERA, 130 WHIP in his 7 starts of work. He's 3-2. It's been not awful. But again, Yankees, White Sox, both on the road. You love the second one.
Yeah, if you can just get the White Sox one, like I'd be fine with that. There's no way I start him against the Yankees. I'm just not doing it.
Right?
No. Love you, Patrick Corbin. You will always be one of my favorite pitchers that screwed me over. Right there with Andrew Heaney, and Kyle Gibson. But I'm not starting him in New York against the Yankees. No way.
No shot. Like I'm with you. I could maybe get the White Sox start as a one-off if you have a league setting that can do that. But if I have to take both, it's a flat no for me with Patrick Corbin, because you know damn well that he's going to wear it in Yankee Stadium and then something's going to happen and he's not even going to get the Chicago start. Because it's on Sunday. Some bullshit is going to happen there. So do not do it, folks. Do not do it. Chris Bassett, I'm bringing up more for 10s and 12s. I think 15s for sure. But I just wanted to point out that, he's come back to earth. His first 4 starts looked like, is he channeling back to his Oakland peak? No, not quite. He was just running hot. He didn't allow a homer in his first 5 starts. He's allowed 6 in the subsequent 4 starts. So we're back to kind of like standard Chris Bassett. It's a 3.16 ERA with a 1.27 WHIP. How confident do we feel about him in medium and shallow leagues? San Diego at home and then at Tampa Bay.
And both these starts are kind of scarier, right? Like you've got the Padres, who've been one of the best offenses in baseball, this year. At least maybe not. I guess they've only. Well, maybe it's the pitching. I guess that San Diego is so good with. San Diego only has a 101 WRC plus over the last 30 days, so maybe I'm not as scared of the Padres for Bassett as I just thought I was. But you have to go to Tampa Bay.
Right. I'm scared of that
love.
always.
Yeah, that I don't love. We've seen just how much offense that stadium can generate, especially as it continues to heat up and and get humid in Tampa Bay. So I don't think I want to start this, but he's probably a top option comparatively speaking to the rest of the list. I think I don't know if there's anybody we've talked about today that I would want to necessarily start over him other than maybe Will Warren.
Yeah, I think that's right. In 10s and 12s where Bassett's going to be available.
Hunter Dobbins, I think you're starting him over everybody we've talked about today pretty much.
I think so too. And his availability is going to be lighter as well. I want to be clear on this. I'm just bringing it up mostly as like a check-in here to be like, hey, he started brilliantly. He's come back to earth. He's fine, but he's not back to must start everywhere Chris Bassitt that we thought maybe he was channeling back into after the first 4 or 5 starts. That's all.
Yeah.
All right. So Chris Bassitt, going to be someone to pick up where he is available. Mitchell Parker closes us out, and he's at home for 2, Atlanta and San Francisco. The young lefty's been up and down this year. He's a guy I like. I do think that there's talent there. But from a fantasy perspective, there is plenty of risk too. 4.32 ERA, 130 WHIP, and the team support is modest. He has an MLB best 0.2 homer 9. He's allowed just 1 homer. That's kind of saving him right now because he has a 5.8 K and a 4.3 walks per 9. Those are both pretty bad rates. So if he doesn't improve those and the homers go up, there could be some trouble. But where do we stand with Mitchell Parker right about now?
This is a ticking time bomb that I've been
feels like it.
And I've been playing nonstop in my leagues because it's hard to find options in 15-team leagues. But
right.
Like, where did the strikeouts go?
I don't know. He had some strikeout flash last year that I thought he could maybe build upon. He was at 21%. I'm like, if he could add a tick or two, all of a sudden we're looking at something. And both the strikeout and walk rates have really gone the wrong way this year for Mitchell Parker.
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening here. I mean, he's never been a good stuff guy, right? He's more of a locating guy, but the walk rate too, like it's almost doubled this year.
Right.
And it's weird because he's actually really bumped up his zone percentage. He went from a 51% zone percentage guy to an almost 55% zone percentage guy. Like, that is really high.
Yeah.
In terms of overall zone percentage, like that puts him at, let's see, Mitchell Parker puts him in like the top 15 in terms of zone percentage in baseball.
And he's still walking that many. So, that shows you that zone alone does not mitigate your walks. Zone percentage alone.
Yeah.
You got to do more than that.
This is really, really just a weird profile right now.
Definitely.
I'm not worried about these offenses necessarily. Like, Atlanta still hasn't really gotten things going over the last month. They're the 21st best offense in baseball. The Giants are the 18th.
Wow. I'm surprised on that. I would have thought that they had moved back up, but I guess not with Atlanta's offense.
Yeah, well, they are potentially getting Acuna back next week. I don't know if it'll be in time for this start, but I think I'm probably rolling with it in 15s, but I don't think I would roll with it in 10s or 12s.
Yeah, I think that's fair with Mitchell Parker. I think 15's viable. Nowhere else is viable. And 15's certainly not a must. Mm-hmm. Something that you can consider, but like let's not get too crazy with it because there is some blow up potential here with Atlanta and San Francisco, 2 capable teams. Neither is beating the cover off the ball, but I don't think they're pushovers either. So let's be a bit careful. So yeah, a lot of names, but not a lot of guys you're trying to chase this week on the 2-start board. So be careful out there. You said a lot of landmines out there.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. We have to be very, very careful with who we're going after this week. You're going to have some interesting names to write up, and you're probably going to be with your 2-start board with a lot of hemming and hawing. Like, I don't know, guys. Maybe.
I'm just looking through the probables and stuff, and like seeing like are there guys that we should have talked about? I don't.
Did I miss anybody that? Yeah.
I'm seeing one name that
give it to me.
I definitely think we should talk about. That's Ryan Pepio, with 2 starts at home, which is
maybe not as automatic as I would have. Let's discuss him then with 2 home starts, Houston and Toronto.
Yeah, he's got a 4.24 ERA. I think you're still starting him in 15s, but I think
easily
for the Shallow League players, and I know there are a lot of them. I could miss this one.
Would you still hold? Is it team streamer for
I'm
Pepio?
Absolutely
okay.
Holding. Like in
Me
spite
too,
of the fact like he has struggled more at home, like he's still been pretty good at home. 4.24 ERA, like you're not
dying from that.
You're not dying from that, and they're going to play a lot more games on the road as the season wears on.
Right.
So he's only got 16.1 innings on the road as opposed to 34 home innings, and that's because they stacked that early season schedule in Tampa. So things will get better for all the Tampa Bay pitchers as the season continues to go on. But I don't think he has to be started necessarily in a 10, especially. In a 12, you probably starting him, but in a 10, you wouldn't necessarily have to.
No, I think that's totally fair with Ryan Pepio. Came in as a huge fan of his this year. So I'm definitely holding anywhere I'm not starting, but it's certainly not a must start. So
oh my God. I mean, I don't know that you're sitting either of these guys. Jesus Luzardo and Aaron Nola are at Colorado.
I know.
And at Sacramento.
I know. And that's why I didn't put him on, but maybe we could have at least discussed Nola. He has a 6.16 ERA. So maybe I did err on that one by not including him. Luzardo, for me, I think is still a slam dunk. I can't bench him.
I don't think you can bench. But
Nola. What about Nola right now?
You got to wonder if there's like an injury or something going on here. Like,
are you still auto starting him in 15s? Your hesitation says no with Nola.
I just don't know how you have a good enough rotation to not
right
in a 15. It's the homers. It's the command has been a massive.
But the homers have been there now for several years. If you're looking at it, it's basically been 4 out of the last 5 years for Aaron Nola since 2021.
So the last 2 years he's had a 15.6 homer to fly ball rate, right? This year it's 22%. So like that's gonna normalize down at least.
But it's only gonna bring it back down to like 1.5 homers per 9, which is too many.
But that would make a world of difference.
Okay, I would put him from 6.16 ERA to like 4.80. That's still not what you paid for with Nola.
Depends on what ERA indicator you like, right? XFIP, right? Which we don't like to necessarily use because it normalizes the home run rate too much.
Agreed.
But his XFIP is 358.
The core skills are there.
I don't know,
man.
I'm not seeing. I think this is one I got to sit down and watch. I mean, the stuff isn't as good. This is the worst stuff plus of his career. It's still better than league average. It's 105. Has there been a pitch mix change that I haven't noticed? That's
certainly not like cutting Nola anywhere, but I cannot pretend I'm not pretty scared.
Yeah, no, I agree with the pretty. Why is he throwing the changeup more? His changeup is his worst pitch by Stuff Plus. It's a 79 Stuff Plus. When you're talking about all of his other pitches, well, 3 of his 4 other pitches are 107 or better. And he's throwing this seems like a straight pitch mix issue.
Okay, well, maybe we can get that sorted out then with Nola. Again, not cutting anywhere that I'm not starting.
And I haven't watched him this year. So like I don't want to pretend like like I'm super in tune with him, but I think I gotta watch these starts.
Would you pick Nola up in a 10-teamer where he's available in stash? Would you pick him up if you aren't starting him this week?
I think I would. I don't think you should start Nolan at 10, by the way. I
don't think so either.
You're going to Colorado and you're going to
the Athletics,
Sacramento.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to start him, but I think I would pick him up. If somebody drops him, is he available in any mains?
That's a great question that I can answer for you right away.
Because you got to think at some point people in deeper leagues are going to start dropping. Is he available in any OCs?
That I don't know because I'm not in them.
I'm not in any OCs either.
If you're in an OC, check for us. Please let us know if Aaron Nola is available in any of them. But yeah, 6.16 ERA, 1-7 record at Colorado, at the Athletics. That is not easy. I think you want to hold through this whether you're starting or not, but you do not have to start, folks. Do not let the name value make you make a bad decision right now.
Yeah, if you've got Aaron Nola anywhere, you're hurting right now.
Yeah, you're not feeling good about that. All right, Justin, that's going to do it for us here with the 2-start pitchers. Good luck out there, folks. A lot of landmines. Are you and Jason getting together on Sunday?
I believe we are. I got to double check with him, but we
Fantastic.
should.
All right. Yeah. And then we should be back next week with Joe. We'll be on Tuesday, of course, before that. But then we should have Thursday back with Joe, who, again, is recovering from a medical situation. I don't want to give away all his business, HIPAA violations and what have you. But he is getting better. He's getting better. And he said he was working yesterday, but that he was catching up. So that taking time out to do, 90-minute pod.
He was on a rehab assignment. Right, he's healthy now. He's just kind of building
I watched his rehab. He wrote an article. That he didn't post. We just wanted to see how's the article looking. It was all right. He was in the zone. He was in the zone.
Yeah. He'll be ready to come off the IL next week, I think.
Joe will be off the IL. Pick him up where available, and we will talk next week. Have a good one, Justin.
Take it easy.